Okay, here we go. All right, excellent. Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
I'm in Minnesota. So if you are in the central part of the US, wherever you're watching from the world, good afternoon from here. Good morning, good evening. Hope everyone's going well. Thank you all for tuning in once again to this to Mbariket podcast. In its simplicity, we are a business podcast catering to entrepreneurs, business owners, investors who are interested in, doing business in Nigeria. So that's really the essence of Mbariket podcast. What we try to do is every week is bring on subject matter experts to come on the program and share some information and insights on their areas of expertise. And just hope that one or two people can learn a few things about how to navigate the landscape of the different sectors that we are going to be covering on the podcast. So the gentleman that I have today, he's a leader in the agricultural sector in Nigeria. His name is Ayi Orok. He is joining us from Lagos. Ayi, you're in Lagos, right?
Well, presently, I'm in Nigeria. And
yeah, which part of Nigeria are you? Which part of Nigeria are you in?
I'm in Uyo, the capital of Akwa Ibom State.
Okay. So he's in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. That's on the south side part of Akwa Ibom. Oh, sorry, south side part of Nigeria. I'm actually from Akwa Ibom State. I have so I am originally from Akwa Ibom State. My parents are from Akwa Ibom. Specifically in Kparenin local government. That's where my dad's from. My mom's from Idemea. That's more like Ikorobasi local government. So Uyo, I have property in Uyo. I go to Uyo frequently. I love the place. And happy to have him on. He is the CEO of Oredo Nigeria Company Limited. Can I help you? That's my daughter. Look at it. Jane, that is working. Okay, come back. So he is the founder and CEO of Oredo Nigeria Limited. They're engaged in agriculture in Nigeria. So he focuses more on consultancy and training. He's also a farmer. I think he has a lot to offer. And I can't wait to talk to him on today's podcast. So for those who are wondering, who is this specific episode for? It's for those who are interested in the agricultural sector in Nigeria, how to work within the borders of Nigeria, and also agricultural exports, which is an area that that I have experience in, that I can share some information and insights on. So in addition, we're going to talk about some of the subsectors of agriculture, like how do you start an agribusiness in Nigeria? Baby, go. How do you start an agribusiness in Nigeria? And what are some of the areas, what are some of the subsectors that people can tap into for opportunities? And licenses and overcoming challenges in agribusiness, establishing a brand presence, overcoming agricultural exports challenges, which is something that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And this is everything. We are going to talk about it all. We're going to have about an hour 15 minutes to dive into the industry and learn more. I always, even though I have over nearly 20 years of experience in commerce, every single day I learn new things. And I'm looking forward to learning from Ayi today on just sort of pick his brain on what he thinks what do you think as far as like opportunities in the agri space in Nigeria? And he's going to share that. He's going to answer some questions, and then we'll take it from there. So Ayi Orok, I know I give a brief overview of your background. So why don't you go ahead and hop on and give us an in-depth overview of your experience in the agricultural space. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I am Ayoro, the CEO of a radio Nigerian company. I have a background in agricultural engineering. I'm an agricultural engineer. I've practiced for 5 years and I've held different positions, especially in the private sector. In the last 2 years, I've ventured into management, gotten certificates in basic accounting, commercial fundamentals, and some few days ago in entrepreneurship from Brigham Young University. And that has really widened my scope of areas in which I have competence. Especially a company is primarily focused in agriculture, but we also take on consultancy training for farmers, especially helping farmers move from small scale to medium scale to mechanization. Mostly mechanization is an issue here in Nigeria. Most people still use human power to do agriculture, which is very tasky, and most times it makes agriculture not a pleasant place to be. So with mechanization and precision farming, that's the future. And I think the future here in Nigeria and in the world is smart agriculture, where you deal on precision in everything, and move from human power to mechanization. Once the process is mechanized, it takes out the rigors of farming and it makes it enjoyable. And it also ensures that the profit in which a business owner is going to get is going to be optimal, unlike using manual power to do anything. In a nutshell, I would say that agriculture, especially in Nigeria, is the next revolution to be. Right now, we are having a lot of inflow of funds into fintech. But I think in the next 3 years, the agro space, which is a gold mine yet on tap, will definitely cover up a space of fintech in Nigeria. Your mic is off.
So the agricultural space,
Yeah.
it's considered an up-and-coming emerging sector in Nigeria, but we also have to remember that agribusiness was actually, it preceded the oil industry in Nigeria's formative years. Okay, we were largely an agricultural, we have like 90% of the land in Nigeria is arable land. It's rich soil. So we were an agriculture-centric nation before the discovery of oil. And then the leaders at the time did an about face, right? And they saw the potential or the immediate money opportunity in oil. So agriculture now became sort of like the red-headed stepchild, like it was pushed to the back burner in favor of oil. So now you fast forward to 2020, we're in a space now where the world is calling for less fossil fuel. And now people are sort of gravitating now towards solar and electric cars and electric, sort of like the electric sector, right? And now all of a sudden, we have something that's always been a part of Nigeria since Gali, centuries ago. And now they are starting to tap or attempting to tap into that industry. And now it's all of a sudden the new gold mine. But it's always been a gold mine all along. We just didn't really focus on it. So the people now who are calling it the new gold mine, what specifically can you say they are basing that on? Because it has potential. The industry has potential, but it's not proven yet. Like, let's say oil is proven, So then what do you think that they're basing this gold mine on? Because if you look at, let me let you answer that first, and I will expand more on that question.
Okay, let me take, for example, what used to be a mainstay, groundnuts. We used to have groundnut pyramids and the rest of it. In the 1985, palm oil was kind of the mainstay. But gradually we move on to cocoa, that's cocoa, and it was the mainstay. Right now, most fruit crops like turmeric, cashew, ginger have a market, especially cocoyam, have a market in other parts of the world. Like the cocoa, for example, like the cocoyam, there's a market for it in Asia. And Nigeria is the only country that produces cocoyam that is organic. That means fertilizer are not being applied on it.
Okay. And
mostly it's mainly used it has nutritious benefits to the body.
Okay.
And more people are in search for in the demand for it because of the palm fruits. More companies are trying to do import substitution because of the exchange rates. So more people are looking inward towards things they would have imported. That's raw material they would have imported. That makes a lot of pressure on the few ones that are produced. So if somebody is producing it, you already have the market available. Let's take, for example, starch, which is the byproduct of cassava. Most pharmaceutical companies in Nigeria right now are having a challenge of importing starch to use in doing other aspects of it. If somebody goes into the processing of cassava to making starch, is already in high demand. All he needs is just produce top quality, and the companies will come knocking. In fact, if your quality is good, you will even have pre-order of those things. So it's in most stable foods. You talk about rice. The rice production is not enough to feed people in Nigeria. And we have the arable land there. All it needs is just mechanization. There is the land, but the mechanizing it makes, if mechanization is applied to it, Nigeria will have the capacity to feed itself and export.
So, but when it comes to the mechanization aspect of it, now you're going into automation.
Yeah.
Which it's a benefit. It speeds up production, speeds up the processing, speeds up refining.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, you also have to train the local workforce on how to operate these machineries.
I think let me share you this. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of, I'm an agricultural engineer.
Right.
Over the years, over the past 10 years, we have a lot of agricultural engineers who are not using their full capacity because there are no mechanized farms to absorb them. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to professionals, we have professionals in those fields. The only thing I would say is that the value chain, the new technology that is in place has not been taught down the value chain. So it seems as people don't know or people can't work with machinery. But in the real essence, there are professionals who can man those machineries. Mm-hmm. The only difficulty is that there are no opportunities for them to be fully employed. So they move into other sectors of the economy in which they can find employment. Mm. Once there is a mechanized farm that can absorb them, they will definitely return to their fields. It's just like the brain drain. We have Africans moving to where they are facilities for them to practice their art.
Mm-hmm.
They will normally want to stay back at home and improve. But in a situation where you don't have those facilities, you struggle to create a niche for yourself. So any little opportunity you will have, you want to move out. But in the agri-engineering field,
Mm-hmm.
the exit is not that much. So the next possible thing you are thinking of is moving towards another professional field or acquiring additional certificate that can make you versatile so that you are no longer a domicile agricultural engineer. You can move into construction, you can move into mechanical, you can move into electrical.
Right, right. So you mentioned something about the market, like the geographic market for certain products like turmeric and cashews, ginger, cocoa.
Yeah.
Cocoyam, you said, is in the Asian market.
Yeah.
Now, this is a highly perishable product. I mean, well, agriculture in general is a perishable sector. How are people currently, I mean, I can speak for cassava, right? Not necessarily cocoyam, because I have experience in the cassava farming, manufacturing, and processing space.
Okay.
Now, with cassava, the optimal time frame for you to, from harvest to manufacturing, is about 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to produce that cassava, unless you have a way to preserve it, which most people really don't. You really have to manufacture that cassava within that 3 to 4 day time frame from harvest. Okay. Now, we are talking now, which makes it, I wouldn't say impossible, but it makes it very difficult to export the cassava tubers overseas. It makes it extremely difficult, if not impossible. Now, what is your recommendation? Now, you got cocoyam, which falls in the line of, in that same category as yam and cassava tubers, right?
Yeah.
The shelf life of cocoyam is only so much before it starts rotting. So how can I mean, this is actually good though, because now it gives them an opportunity to look beyond Nigeria. If there's a market for their goods in Asia, how can they preserve the cocoyam for export?
Okay. Cocoyam, like yam, they have a similar shelf life. Their shelf life is more than that of cassava, because they can stay a little bit longer. And the easiest form in which you can process it is drying. So once you harvest it, it can stay a week. Once it's dried and you harvest it, just like yam, it has that same shelf life. Yam can be exported in its raw form, but it costs more because you are talking in terms of weight. Although there are some few exports of yam to neighboring countries in its raw form, that is in tuber form, most people are going into processing it to powder form. The same thing with cocoyam. But cocoyam here has a longer stay. The more it stays, the more it dries up. It can stay for 6 months without having issues of spoilage. So once you harvest it, once it's matured, you harvest it. Under 2 weeks, you can go into the process of drying it. Once you dry, you grind, you package. When it's properly packaged, it has a normal shelf life like any other packaged good that is in flour form. So, but one thing I know about agriculture, especially in Nigeria, we produce a lot of what we eat, but 65 to 75% of it ends up perishing, as in you have spoilage because
Spoiling.
there are no facilities for preservation, especially the fruits. But when it comes to yam and cocoyam, it's a little bit on the good side because it has a longer stay before spoilage sets in. But when it comes about fruits, vegetables, they have a shorter shelf life in which if you do not process it, you lose a lot of value on it. Just like the like of orange, banana, tomatoes, onions. They have a shorter shelf life. So if you don't process it during that time, you end up losing your value. But when you talk about yam, cocoyam, plantain, it stays a little bit longer than those ones. You can manage it for 2 weeks, that is 14 days before. Guys, I'm talking about plantain.
Right.
Before you process it. There are people who prefer the unripe one, there are people who prefer the ripe one, depending on their health challenges or what they want to use it for.
Right. Right. So in order then to effectively, now I'm thinking exports now, I'm not thinking local consumption, I'm thinking exports now. So in order to effectively export, you're recommending processing it into dry form.
Yes, because once you add value to those things,
right,
the value you have added to it makes, let's take for example cocoyam. If you sell it in a raw form, you will have XYZ dollar. If you process it, you add 5 times the value that you would have sold it as in raw form.
Right.
But the cost implication of processing it is about one times one of it. So your profit increases when you process. But if you sell it as a raw material without processing, yes, you are making money. Definitely you will make money. But somebody who is processing it is making 4 times, 5 times what you would have made.
Got it.
That's the irony of it. So you can be a farmer, you plant, you harvest, you make income, but the middleman who processes it and goes on to export makes more and takes less risk. His only risk is to buy from you, process, package, and sell.
Now, how are they priced? Like if a farmer who's harvesting and wants to sell their raw, let's say raw plantain, raw yam, or raw cassava to a customer, how would you recommend them to price their goods? Is it by the ton? Is it by half a ton? Like, and what's the current going rate? I know prices in Nigeria changes on a day-to-day basis. Today's price is not tomorrow's price. So it's really hard for you to plan ahead or forecast. But let's say I'm a customer or I'm a processor looking for cocoyam to process and export to the US. How do I buy this? Like, what sort of like benchmarks am I looking for when it comes to how to purchase the cocoyam?
I would suggest three approach to buying it. One is that you encourage a farmer to plant and you buy from the piece of land he has planted. That's the most cheapest way to get value for money. You encourage a farmer plant 1 hectare, 2 hectare, 3 hectare, 4 hectare. Okay, per hectare, I'm going to pay you XYZ amount of dollar. It's going to be in your favor. The other aspect is you buy pay the weight or pay the bag or pay the tonnage or pay the kg. Yes, you are still going to, but there you have opportunity to select the best from it. You can select the best from it. You can do selection. Okay, I don't like this one. I like this one. I don't like these sizes. This is what I want. And your money is not tied down because You go to the market where they sell it. You pick from different small farmers, aggregate it to the quantity you want, transport it to your warehouse, and start processing. That's the second aspect of it. The third aspect of it is most of those small-scale farmers have a market where they take their produce to. They have a market they take their produce to. So all you need to do, you don't need to know them, just go to the market. They come with their goods. You will be buying at the rate they want to sell. So it's now left for you. You want to buy, you want to go into their homes and buy from them, thereby cutting them from taking it to the market, because when they go to the market, they're going to pay tax and the rest. So that means they're going to reduce their cost, but you are picking a cost of transporting it to your warehouse, or you empower them to plant. I want to do so and so hectare, I want to do so and so hectare. You can gather 5, 6, 7, 8, because farmers have small holding, fragmented land. So you can gather farmers together, tell them this is what I want you to plant. You can get them the seedlings. That way you are sure of no other purchaser will come in and buy from you. You will have a stable flow of produce as at when you want them. So those are the three basic ways in which you can approach buying.
Right, and to add to that, the reason why I asked was I was trying to compare your answers to what I'm currently doing right now as far as sourcing cassava, and that's exactly what I do. Like when we started manufacturing in-house, I'm talking about Gary. Like we process, we have a facility in my village, actually on my property, that we process Gary, we manufacture Gary there for export to the US. Initially, when we first started, we went to the market and we sourced cassava, like raw cassava tubers, directly from the marketplace. Okay, now there was nothing wrong with that. I mean, we would happily pay premium all day long as the price matches the quality of the cassava that you're selling. So we don't have a problem paying premium for cassava. The biggest challenge that we faced before moving on to what we're currently doing now was we just didn't have enough supply. I mean, the cassava supply wasn't even close to matching the demand. I mean, our demand is through the roof. Like we can manufacture, even now, we can manufacture Gary all day long to the end of the year. The supply is just not there. Okay, so we realized that going that route, although we are supporting the local farmers, we are paying premium for cassava, which we don't have a problem doing, in helping to support and boost the local economy. It just wasn't meeting our needs as a company. Okay, so we decided to move away from buying directly from the farmers at the market to then buying whole farms.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is what we are currently doing now. That's how we source our cassava. Now, there are pros and cons to everything. Okay, so the advantage to buying directly from the farm, meaning you go out there, you source around, you look for someone who has farm available with cassava, and I'm speaking specifically cassava now, that's ready and immediately available to harvest. And then based on the size of the farm, you negotiate a rate. Okay, like, okay, how much is this going to cost? Just like everything else, they give you a price, you negotiate. Now that's okay. You actually get a better deal that way. But this is what you don't know. You don't know the yield of that farm. Okay, and then and you also don't know the quality of the cassava. Unlike when you go to the market, you can actually see the cassava right there, and you can, just like you said, you can select what you want. But when you are going out and you're harvesting. I have videos on this, guys. Go to my YouTube channel and go to my YouTube channel and
let me button you there. When you are buying the whole farm, for you to be effective and operate optimally, you'll be the one to supply them the seedlings.
Wait a minute, supply them with what?
The seedlings. Let's say
Okay.
you meet a.
I get. So hold on. That is actually another angle you can go into, which is we are also doing that.
Let me just put in there.
Okay, go ahead.
There's this company that produces tobacco in Nigeria. What they do is that they don't plant the tobacco. They get the local farmers to plant the tobacco. They pay them the hectare of land of tobacco they plant. They are the ones giving them the tobacco to plant, the herbicide to plant. In that way, they ensure the quality of. So that same process can be duplicated in any other agricultural process. You supply them what you want, you pay them. So indirectly, they are working for you, but you are paying them.
Got it. Totally get that. So what I was saying, I was just trying to share some of our current processes on how we are sourcing cassavas for the manufacturing of Gary.
Yeah.
So now, what I'm trying to say, so you have the advantages, meaning yes, you get a better rate, but you're just not sure of the yield and quality of the farm. Now, this is if you are going out and just looking for someone with a farm that has cassava ready for sale that's still not harvested. So that is one angle. The other angle is what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
You can supply the seedlings for them. Essentially, what you're doing now is you are leasing land. Okay, you are leasing raw land. You supply them the seedlings. Obviously, you have to pay them for their time and their service, which all of this is going to be factored into the price for them to now essentially cultivate the cassava for you. Okay, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year or what have you, they do the soup to nuts end-to-end cultivation. So when the cassava is ready, all you have to do is just go in, harvest, and be on your way. Or you can actually buy land, which is what we are doing now. You could actually buy your own land and cultivate your own product. What do you say on that?
Buying land, that means you must be operating with a lot of liquidity.
Even village land.
You know, for you to aggregate land to buy is a challenge. You'll be having small farms here and there. So if you want to aggregate land, let's say you want to buy a whole street for planting in a planting area, most people won't want to sell.
Okay.
Most of them, when they know you are into production, a land which would have sold for A price will move to Z price. So this solution here is you don't pay premium for land, but yet you get premium quality. But if you have the funds to take on purchasing of land, that is the best option. But I'm looking at a startup trying to move into the market and taking advantage of the area. What innovative thinking processes will you take so that you optimize what you have to achieve what you want? But as the capacity grows, what stops you from acquiring land in addition to still using the innovative ways in which you were using previously? So acquiring land is the end game, but the issue here is, do you have the funds? If you have the funds, good. But if you don't have the funds to acquire land for a long time, you move into this partnership which allow you to make use of land, get the product, do the processing, and the business keeps flowing.
So now agriculture is a long tail business.
Yeah, it's a long term.
It's a long tail business. You're not going to plant today, harvest tomorrow, export the next day. It doesn't work like that. So this is actually really good because now we are in that segment of how do you start an agri business company? Okay, you've given the points. You either go to the market, start small, to sort of like test the market to see, prove the concept first. Once you've proven the concept, you can now expand to the second stage, which is sourcing for available land, where you can negotiate directly with the landowners to help you cultivate the specific crop that you're trying to cultivate, whether it's cassava, cocoyam, yams, or what have you. Now, like the end game, like you mentioned, is the ownership of your own farm, where you have 100% ownership of the land to cultivate whatever you want to cultivate at your pace and at your time. But that's the advantage. The disadvantage is it's a capital intensive endeavor. Like you have to have that liquidity, that cash liquidity, to be able to procure the land and also put systems and a team in place to cultivate whatever goals that you are trying to accomplish in the agriculture space. Someone that's in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, I don't know if this is true or not. I got this from an actual reliable source that Akwa Ibomites are importing Gari from Cross River State. Is that true?
It's partially true. When it comes to fufu, that is another byproduct. Apart from cassava, Gari, we have fufu. Fufu is mostly sourced from a neighboring state, that is Cross River State, and mostly from the northern part of Cross River, and a local government that's Akpabuyo, which shares boundary with Akwa Ibom. They provide about 50% of the fufu we eat in Akwa Ibom State. The Gari also comes about 40% to 60% of it comes from Cross River and Benue states. The other percentage is produced in the state, mostly in areas that are coastal. As you look at Itu, you look at Ibiono, you look at the coastal areas where there is water. Other parts of the state produces Gari, but not in a quantity that is sustainable with the demand for it. So they produce subsistently to feed themselves and, let's say, buy within villages. But when it comes to the quantity of Gari being consumed by Akwa Ibomites, 40% of it, 40 to 50% of it comes from Cross River. The rest is internally sourced. So let's say I plant two plots of land of cassava. At the end of the day, I have an excess. I sell that excess to the market. But in those other parts of the state, people plant it for commercial purposes. They are planting this cassava for sale. We have few people in Akwa Ibom State who plant cassava for sale. Most of them are planting it for their own personal consumption. It's only when it's more than that they can consume that they think of selling to make money. So there is arable land, but the concept of planting in Akwa Ibom State mostly is for personal consumption, not.
So the concept of commercializing is very, very rare.
It's very rare or it's low. The number of people who are into it is a little. So if you have.
So let me add this then. So is it a matter of Akwa Ibomites not being enterprising,
No, it's
or
not.
or
It's not.
or they just are not interested in? I mean, what is that? Like, how can you drive jobs and create jobs and help build the local economy when the crops that are being produced in the state are largely for subsistence use, for personal use? Okay, is this something that you do to where you actually go into these communities and train these farmers on how to commercialize and expand? I mean, is this something that you do? And if so, what sort of like feedback are you getting?
Okay. Let me share this experience. You go into the villages. Previously, before this time, Akwa Ibomites used to produce about 70% of the garri they eat, because in the villages there are people who don't have any other job. What they do is that they help in preparing lands, planting the lands for those who have the money to do it. Mostly, those people are not lettered. But with the current trend of people going to school, those who normally do that are gradually being phased out. More and more people are seeking education. So the farming now is left for mostly elderly people and those who did that in their prime, and they are now elderly. They don't have the strength to cultivate the land they used to. The young ones have moved towards the urban center looking for white-collar jobs or seeking education. So we have less people in the villages. Then the second aspect of it is the tools they use in farming. They are still using manpower to do the tilling, the weeding, and the rest. It's something that burns out somebody over a period of time.
Of course.
So those two indices, and the third one is that most people who are into farming here have lost that prestige. I'm a farmer. They feel people don't regard them. So why go through all this stress when if you are calling a committee of people and you introduce yourself like a farmer and you are being looked down on? They look for other opportunities, even if it's not as lucrative as farming would be, but that sack, I'm not a farmer, is off the bat.
Right. But that's an area of opportunity for you though, to change that perspective. Correct? To change the perspective of the way that people are currently thinking, because if agriculture is the next oil, okay, it takes education to be able to bring back. This is not about I mean, I'm in the United States of America. One of the most prestigious people that you will meet out here are farmers. It's actually pretty cool to tell people that you are a farmer. I mean, you have livestock farmers, you have crop farmers. I mean, there's just so many fish farmers.
But the opposite is here. When you tell somebody you're a farmer, they will, you farmer? Are you serious? So we have a larger percentage of farmers who can take care of their bills. They barely struggle to pass on with life. So it makes farming look so menial that nobody aspires to be a farmer. Unlike when I was smaller, you see my great-grandfather, he had plantation of oil palm trees, rubbers, goats, sheep. He was self-sufficient. he could provide for himself, and those who were related to him come to him for advice. Oh, I'm having these challenges. Okay, he solved them. But now somebody tells you he's a farmer, it's just like indirectly telling you I'm below the poverty line. I need help. So nobody wants that star, I'm a farmer. Because what it connotes is I'm living below the poverty line, please, I need help. So until that, and the extension services in the Agri ministry is not as effective as it used to be, where fresh graduates are employed and they move with the new knowledge and skills they have learned, transfer it to the local farmers. But one thing I can say is that when it comes to new species of crops, that particular technology, I think right now, most cassava that are planted are these new species. The old ones have been completely fessed up. It comes to oil palm, the local variety of palm are also fessed up. So yes, technological know-how is being passed down, but is not as effective as it used to be. That's one aspect of it. Two, those who would have loved to do agriculture because of how it is meant to look menial, do not look towards agriculture, they look towards other things. So you have fewer people planting, and the fewer people here are only planting for subsistence. But you go to the other part of the state which are producing this food for us, you have a sizable number of them who are farmers, and let me put in quote, they are millionaires in their own standard.
So then it's not a farming problem. It's a mindset problem.
It is a mindset accepted. It also boils down to farming, because when you use crude method in farming, after going to the bush to clear a farm with a cutlass, your hands will definitely have bruising. So if that's your first experience, you will think of an alternative. Okay, you succeed in planting. At the end of the day, what you planted, if you make records of what your inputs were, you see that you are losing money because you are not producing optimally, you are not working optimally. Once you finish that first trial first, nobody will force you back. You will look for something else to do with your time. So most of our lands have been cultivated over time that they are no longer fertile as they used to be. Most also, urbanization has taken over it. So a place which used to produce XYZ yield is now a building, and you have to move to some other place. But in those areas, they still have arable lands which were not tapped, or they are still doing fallowing. So once they move every 4 years or every 7 years, when they plant, the yields are good. You could see a cassava planted and it looks like a tuber of yam when it's harvested, one. But that same cassava will be planted somewhere and you pick something as small as carrots.
Yeah, that is actually what the sort of yield that we got last time. On our last harvest, the first one looked like yams, and then the second harvest looked like carrots. So that was what I was trying to say. We didn't quite. It's the disadvantage because you just don't know what you're gonna get. But for me to let's circle back now. Let me go ahead and say something I feel is very important to anyone that's watching this, interested in farming. Farming is one of the most prestigious industries you can be in. I'm telling you, because I've worked across technology, I've worked in the entertainment space. I mean, I've worked in marketing and casinos and gaming. And now we are building a farm in Nigeria. And it's, to us, it's one of the most rewarding. It's as close to nature as you can get. And whoever it is that's spreading this falsehoods that farming is beneath people. And just like you said earlier, on this side, they're looking at it like, oh, I can't do it. It's a poor man's job. On the other side, just like you said, there are people making money. There are people making millions off of farming. But it's not so much about the money that I'm looking at, is what sort of impact are you looking to make? And now this is where branding comes in. If you're going to build, if you have to not look, don't look at it as, oh, I'm a farmer. Look at it like you are in the business of farming. It's just two different mindset. It's kind of like saying, oh, well, are you in the real estate business, or are you in the business of real estate?
Yeah.
You understand? Mbariket, my company, we are in the business of farming. We are not in the farming business, because to us, just going out there and cultivating with a hoe and digging, and that is actually a very simple and a tiny part of what we do as a brand.
Yeah.
We are in the business of farming. When you start looking at it from that perspective, it really changes how you approach this, because I'm telling you, the demand, and this is just Nigeria alone, the demand for Nigerian food in America, even us, we can't meet that demand. The demand is astronomical. Do you know the issues that we are facing? The issues we are facing right now, my company is facing, is getting the food out of Nigeria into the global market, because they make it so difficult. There are all these red tapes, there's all these documents and all this paperwork and all this thing that you have to go through. The cost of transportation is high, it's inconsistent, it's all over the place. So for us, the challenge is, we have all this good food in Nigeria, all this beautiful, healthy, organic product in Nigeria with nowhere to go. They are stuck in the country, spoiling, decaying. So now, when these people start talking about Nigeria is the gold mine, that was why I asked you that important questions, like, what are they basing this on? Like, what systems and processes are in place for people to really be able to capitalize and maximize this gold mine? I'm still yet to find out. But in order for us to keep going, I wanted to ask you this question. Farming is one thing. Some people are looking down on farming. Others are making businesses out of farming. What are some subsectors, career-wise, in agriculture that people can get into if they don't like the idea of going to a farm every day with mechanized tools, or going to manual? Like, what are some of the subsectors? Can they be agents? Can they be trainers? Can they be consultants? Like, what are some of these subsectors that you can highlight?
Okay. One of the challenges I have in Akwa Ibom is that when you say you are doing agri consultancy, an average person will tell you, what actually are you going to tell me? Is it not farming? I know everything about farming. That's the kind of mindset. It's farming. I can just wake up any day and do it. But they are just like in engineering, we have a hierarchy. In agriculture, there's hierarchy also. We have the agronomy aspect of it. We have the soil science. Most times we have challenges where people plant crop where the soil type does not support what you are planting. You can pump in millions into it, but you will not do well because you did not do soil profiling. You did not know the kind of soil you are dealing with, because you are seeing a concept working. It may be in the same local government area. You go to the east, this part of crop is doing extremely well because of the soil profile and everything, and you pick that concept to that same local government, the north aspect, which has another soil topography, without doing research on it, you see the crops are not doing well. So those who are trained as crop scientists.
Hey, Ari, let me add one thing before you continue. I am going to hire you for this because we have a land in local government that we want to cultivate on that land, specifically cassava. So I'm going to hire you to the current person that's cultivating on the land right now. They have until June 1st to move out. So they've been served, they're moving out June 1st. Then right thereafter, I would like for you to go to that land and do a soil test for us and let us know if that land is going to be suitable for cassava. You see, guys, the reason why I said it is like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Because had you not said this, I would have just sent people there to clear it and start planting. And then when it's time for you to harvest, and instead of you getting yam-sized cassava tubers, you're getting carrot-sized cassava tubers, and then you start blaming the seedlings. You start blaming so many factors instead of you actually doing the foundational, basic groundwork. This is why someone like you come into place. Because if people are not educated enough, it's what I call shooting first and aiming second. You have to aim before you shoot.
Yeah.
So this is what we are talking about. Like if you don't like the grinding, nitty-gritty, getting down on your hands and knees, doing the hard work, you can get into something like consulting. I mean, there are even people who do drone mapping of certain lands. Okay, so that is what I wanted to add in. We are going to utilize your services to go to that property, do a soil test, and let us know if it's going to be suitable for what we are trying to do. But this is going to be something that we can discuss offline as the time nears. But go ahead. I just wanted to interject there.
Once the soil test is done and you definitely be guided on what kind of crops you need to plant. Sometimes after the analysis, you see watermelon would do extremely very well. Vegetable would do extremely very well. Okra, pepper would be better. So the first aspect to use is a soil test, and you analyze it. Yes, the Ministry of Lands and Housing has done a general topography map of what you will likely find in those and so places, but you need to do specific soil analysis so that you know what you are working with. Once you get the soil right, then the next aspect is there are soils which in the first 4 years, you don't need any incentive that is to improve the soil. The soil is so rich that it does not need anything. So you just keep on planting it. Once you are through with it, you allow it to be fallow. Once you harvest, you allow those things the dry leaves to fall on it. After that, you plant again. That's one aspect of it. Then the second aspect of it has to do with the kind of crops. Where do you source your services? Where I worked before I had my own company, there was this cassava type, which once you process it, it tastes like, once you harvest it that day and process it, it tastes like if you are eating yam. It tastes like yam. There is no cyanide in it. My boss then, because I was working at the farm, but some of it were given as sample to Mbariket.
Hey, Ayi, your network we might be
University of Agriculture working relationship.
We might be having some network problems because you keep
freezing. Network
issue. Yeah, you keep freezing and unfreezing and okay, continue. Niger network.
My previous workplace where I was. Is that okay? My previous workplace, I had opportunity to receive a sample of cassava, which once you process it, is more or less looks like yam. Some of those samples were given to Mbariket at the University of Agriculture for them to conduct further research. And that company I worked for had a working relationship with their roots and sugar department. So species of cassava in which we could test run and see how it looks like. So getting your seedlings to plant also plays an important role in the yield you will definitely have. And network.
Yeah, the streaming network is the bit rate is very low on this side, so you are currently frozen.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, totally. Wow. So yeah, we lost our guest there due to the network issues. So we are just gonna I'm just gonna wait and hope that he signs back on. But man, we oh, there he is. I think he's back on. Yeah, you back? Hope you guys are finding value in this. I mean, this is an important topic that I've always wanted to speak with a subject matter expert about. Like this is really good information. Some of the crops that he mentioned to.
Okay. Sorry, I'm back. It was network. It was
yeah,
so bad.
No worries. So you were saying something about the seedlings.
Yes, I was talking about seedlings that where I worked previously as the farm manager. I was opportune where the owner of the company brought in some cassava tubers, like the stems, which once you harvest it and process it, it tastes exactly like processed yam. The cassava had no cyanide in it. Since the company had partnership with Mbariket, some of those samples were sent to Mbariket, and Mbariket sent some samples that we normally plant. I think that particular species of cassava is not yet popular in the state. It has a pink stem and the tubers are pink, but once you peel it, it's white. It contains no cyanide and it tastes like yam. Once you process it, if you are not there when I'm processing it and I'm telling you it's yam flour, you will believe it.
You believe it.
Yeah.
So this current cassava stem that you're talking about, this seedling is not in wide use yet.
It's not in wide use yet. The only people who
how long does it take? Is it a 6-month yield or a yearly yield?
It doesn't take 6 months. It takes roughly 5 months. Once it gets to maturity stage, you have to harvest it under 2 weeks. If you allow it to stay long, it starts shrinking.
how do you know when it's time to harvest? Is there technology in place for you to know the exact time frame to harvest? Because this is very important.
There was no technology there in that farm. All you needed to do is to observe the leaves. The leaves here, once it becomes putting the tubers into the land, the flowering will change. Once it's matured, it will also have a different kind of flowering. So you use the how the leaves look on it to determine, okay, it's now time for you to harvest. But the stems that are mostly prominent now in use in the state is the ones in which they call it, the local parents, they call it give me chance. Anyway you anyway you throw it, whether you cover it or not, it will start germinating, trying to put the roots in the ground.
So we have the give me chance, Niger. We have the give me chance ceiling. Okay,
wherever you drop it,
it will grow.
It starts growing. But the only disadvantage it has is that if that land is not fertile,
right,
the yield will not be much.
Got it.
But if it's in a fertile place, you are going to harvest tuber size.
You see that new species is what I want. The new species, this give me chance, throw it anywhere it is and watch it grow thing is not, I'm not interested in that, but I am interested in learning more, and I'll reach out to you offline to talk more about this new species. We're really interested in that. So long as it can it could be harvested within 5 to 6 months, we are perfectly okay with that.
6 months. 6 months.
Yeah, because
6 months you can start harvesting it.
In 6 months. Okay. So moving on what sort of licenses do you need to start an agricultural business for those who are interested?
It's only when you are going into exports that you need licenses. But if you are going into planting, all you need to do is to acquire the land. You may need to get a C of O on that land, or you get that land registered for you. That means you have to go through the land. After buying the land from the landowners, you do the necessary findings. You use a land surveyor to survey the land so that you have something you can hold on to. And with a land title, you can locally source for financing if needs be.
Right.
But if you are planting, you do not need any approval. You just go into your land
and cultivate, do what you want. Oh, okay.
Sell it to whoever you want to sell it to.
Got it.
But once you move into the next stage of processing for either local consumption or for exports, that's where you start looking for the licenses.
Got it.
If you are processing and packaging it, that means you must have NAFTA number, NAFTA registration. NAFTA must come and certify that the processes of your food handling is safe, is not hazardous.
Got it.
And you're not going to poison us.
Got it.
You move to exports, you go to the Export Council. The Export Council will give you a long list of things. They will come and check that you meet the criteria of their standards. You may need Standard Organization of Nigeria, give you the standards. But if you are producing just for the local, in-country, you don't need any license. All you need to do is you have a business name so that somebody can pay in money into your account and you deliver the goods. It's more or less kind of a straightforward business transaction.
Got it.
But when you move into the processing aspect of it, you need to do the licensing and everything with NAFTA, Export Council, SON. Those are the three licensing authority when it comes to manufacturing
of food. Right.
Yeah.
How important is establishing a brand presence? in order to, because I'm looking at it like most people who are watching this podcast, they're not interested in just farming locally and satisfying local domestic consumer base. They really want to grow. They really want to grow from a 1 hectare farm into a 2 hectare farm, 2 hectare farm into a 3 hectare farm, and actually make a business out of it so they can take care of themselves and their family, and obviously create jobs and add to the country's GDP. So how important, what must you do as a business or as an individual or an entity looking to penetrate the agribusiness sector in Nigeria to separate yourself and stand out?
Branding creates a lot of value too. There are people who prefer branded products to unbranded ones.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who would have preferred branded products, but they do not have the purchasing power, so they go for the raw forms of those things and process it themselves. But when you are looking at exports, somebody is looking at reliability.
Right.
Somebody is looking at standards. This is a standard I'm looking at. At any given time, I can easily walk in and pick this and know that this is the standard I'm going to get.
Right. So the consistency is there. You need that.
Yeah, the consistency. When you see a brand, you know that they have a standard to protect. They have a name to watch for. And there is that consistency that even when it's off season for that particular produce, they will ensure you have a quantity that you can go with. Just like palm oil. There are seasons for it. But when you buy the branded ones, even when it's off season, it's still there.
Right.
The quality is still the same. But if you buy the one is not unbranded, when it's the peak period for it, you get good quality. But when it moves down to the quality gradually moves and it comes to scarcity, so there is room for branding. Branding differentiates you. Branding gives you an edge over others because definitely once you have a good product, just like they say in the media world, it advertises itself. And word of mouth is the best way of advertisement because if I eat a good meal, definitely I will tell somebody, this is where I got it. And the next person will tell the next person, and the message will spread like virus, and people will start noticing your brand. We have some few brands who are doing well, and in every part of the country, people look forward to that brand when it comes to that particular agricultural produce. You walk into a mall or you walk into a supermarket, I'm looking for XYZ brand.
Because you know what you're getting. You know exactly what you're getting.
You know what you are getting. So branding products is the best way to differentiate yourself. But you must be consistent in your quality. Most times, most brands, once they feel they have created a niche for themselves, they start tinkering with the standards. I think consistency is what matters most. If you're consistent in your standard, you would have created value for yourself and for your customers. So if you are selling organic products, be consistent in selling organic products. If you are selling healthy products, be consistent in selling healthy products. If you want to sell the two, this one is organic, you have a premium on it. This one is healthy, you have a price on it. More people will know you for what you stand for. And with time, you will have a niche, you have created a niche for yourself where people will gravitate towards you because of the need they need. So if I am somebody who loves organic food and you are selling organic food,
you go to that one person.
Organic you are selling. What will make me want to try to sample a product which I'm not sure is organic?
Right. So then what would you say are the top crops to focus on? With the best potential for growth, but also low barrier of entry.
Low barrier of entry.
Yes, like minimal barrier of entry, but has the highest and best potential for growth. For those who are looking to start in agriculture, because they have to be able to start from somewhere. Not everyone's going to have the capacity to go and buy a farm to cultivate or put systems and a team in place. So what would you say are the best, like if you were to start today, for those looking at starting an agribusiness in Nigeria, what areas would you point them to?
It depends. I would put on two. We have cash crops and we have fruit crops.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
Fruit crops are food we normally eat.
Okay.
Like okra, like vegetable, like turmeric, like ginger. Then we have the cash crops, like palm oil, like rubber, palm oil, rubber. Which other one? Those are the ones in which you have a longer time. At least you have to wait 3 or 4 years before they start getting to a stage where you can harvest. But when you are looking like fruit crops, 3 months, 6 months, highest 9 months, you're already harvesting them. Palm oil would be investment. If somebody with plantation of palm oil, in the next 2 to 3 years, the demand has
Hey, you froze up again. So I think we lost you. We lost you. Okay. So the question that I wanted you to answer was the areas that you can get into if you're looking at starting in the agri space in Nigeria, with obviously the highest potential of profitability, but also the lowest barrier of entry. So, he mentioned the differences between the food crops and the cash crops. I think palm oil is sort of like the standard. You can get into that. You can also get into buying and reselling of ginger, turmeric, cashews. There's just so many opportunities there where you can actually start from scratch and see where you fit in, see where you feel most comfortable. And not just that, also see if you like doing this. It's really important, because you may get into the agri space and it's just not for you. So it's always easy, it's always recommended and advisable for you to start small and grow from there. I think we have him back. Is he back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, the Nigerian network can only handle about an hour of streaming. I don't know what the problem is, but go ahead. We are almost done with this.
So I was trying to say that
podcast.
I was trying to say that fruit crops, the easiest fruit crop someone can get into is okra. You can also go into vegetables. Mm-hmm. Although I've forgotten some of those. There's this particular one that I found, the atama, the editan,
leaves.
All those ones can organically plant. So if there is a huge market for it, more and more people are gravitating towards those vegetables because of the medicinal benefit they have.
Yeah, I can actually attest to the demand for the cooking leaves. The
Yeah.
dried, and then this is for export. I don't know about the local market.
Not export.
Yeah, but I'm speaking in terms of export. Like the demand for the cooking leaves is through the roof. Like afang, in Igbo is called I think it's okazi, aditan atama. These are Akwa Ibom. They're really very, very popular in Akwa Ibom and Cross River states, but also widely popular in the eastern part of Nigeria. I mean, you have to obviously cultivate them first. They have to be very, very dry. If there's just an ounce of wetness, they're not going to pass through immigration. It has to be completely dry because it's now considered dried goods. There's demand in that area. I mean, these things, they're widely popular here and people are looking for them, but the supply again is not there. And I faced this same issue with cooking leaves. When I was looking for cooking leaves, they were telling me, oh, it's the rainy season, you have to wait. I'm like, I don't want to wait. Like I want it yesterday. You know, so these things are seasonal. And that is why I highly recommend the services that you, i.e., provide as a consultant, because you can actually guide businesses. You can talk about seasonalities, the different soil tests that they're going to need if they are at the capacity to be able to farm. Yeah. There's so many ways, so many areas you can point and guide them to that's going to save not just time, but also wasted money and resources. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I do.
Yeah.
Although network was kind of, you are not very much audible. I just pick one or two things.
Got it.
But to those ones, they are seasonal, and when it's off season, locally, the demand for it is more than the supply. So the few that is available, it's just like the demand and supply. You have fewer supply and a very huge demand. So if you are not on ground, even getting hold of it for export looks an impossible task. And luckily for these plants, they are grown organically. The ones so manure is not used, is organically harvested, organically sourced. But the good thing is that they can be cultivated in lands at homes with the same soil structure, and they will do very well. In where I'm living, I have a small of it, just like an experimental farm, where if you want to prepare a meal, you can just pick it. But somebody can set up a farm that is closer to the home, where you plant this thing in. It takes about, during the dry season or during the rainy season, if you can keep your land moist, they keep on growing. Once you can keep that land moist, they are growing whether it's dry season or rainy season. But what happens, why they say it's seasonal, is that much of these things are inside the bush. People go to the bush. Very few people have it at the back of their houses. And it's only just for the family. Okay, you have an excess, you just give it to the next person, or it's too much, you go to the market just to. Farming day is more of prestige, not for the commercial purpose of it. So if somebody is going to do it for the commercial purpose of it, you need to have a farm where you plant these things in rows.
You also will need an irrigation system too to water the crops. Or do you think the rain, just like the moisture from the rainy season, would suffice?
No. You need to water it when you get into the dry season. There you can do drip irrigation. You don't need the surface irrigation, just drip. The water is supplied to the roots of that plant. That way, you don't spend much in pumping water. You can use 200 liters for 3 weeks because you are not wasting the water. The water goes directly to the roots of the plant, and the plant takes the water that sustains it, that it remains green throughout the dry season.
Okay. Wow. You know, this has been a learning experience. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to, we've gone, I was hoping you give me just an hour, but you've given me an hour and a half, and I really appreciate that time that you've given me.
I would just say this is that in addition to agriculture being an untapped thing, specialty medical care, that is laboratory science, when it comes to specialty, just like DNA tests and the rest of it. The health sector is another opportunity for people to make money. Because most of the tests, more and more people are getting conscious of their health. More and more people are seeking, apart from eating healthy food, more and more people are trying to live healthier.
Healthy lifestyles, yeah.
Living healthy lifestyles, and more people are going for checkups. Most of these checkups are expensive because they are going to be rooted outside of the country. Like somebody wants to do a DNA test, it will cost him about 250,000. If he's going to do a complete DNA test, wide DNA test, they are looking at 400, 450. So for those specialists, laboratory tests, somebody having a lab in country, everybody in the country will be coming to you because all these tests are exported out of the country and results are returned back in. So if you have a place in the country where you can do, you are not going to do the primary test, you are not going to do the secondary test.
Just a facility. Is that what
just
you're saying?
Just the facility, and you do the tertiary specialty test, laboratory test. It's a business in which you can recover your investment in 2.5 years.
Did you say 12 or 2 years?
2.5
years. You know, the health sector is something that I feel we should reserve for another time.
Yeah, I was just trying.
Yeah, because
Agri and health move hand in hand.
It's anything like I try to live a healthy lifestyle, and I know what goes into it. Okay, so I just feel like it's like an area that I want to touch, but I don't want to touch, because if I do, we're gonna be here for another hour and a half, because it's just so much that goes into it. But that aside, let's hold off on that. And next time, I mean, I would like to have you on as a regular guest, by the way. If Tony and I, we are working on a better time that's going to be suitable for me here, and also for the subject matter experts in Nigeria. So we think we're probably going to be moving this to, let's say, 8 o'clock at night, Nigeria time, which is I mean, what do you recommend? Because Tony was saying 8, 9, 7, but it also has to make sense for me as well. So, but anyway, this is something that we could.
I will say I'm open to. I do online learning.
Okay.
So most of my classes are within this time. I stay late into the early hours.
Yeah. Within what time? Within what time frame? In Nigeria,
most working class will prefer between 7:30 and 9. Why? They will be back from work. Most of them who listen to the radio or TV stations will be hooked onto it.
Got it.
So you can easily move the attention from, okay, let me skip today from listening to the news at 7. I will listen to the news at 10.
Got it.
So they can tune in.
Got it.
But when you start by 6, most people are in the rat race of going back home.
Got it.
Or they're already home trying to fix a meal for themselves.
Good point.
Between 7 and 9, most people are through with work. Most are at home. Most are either eating their meal or finish eating their meal, trying to prepare their children and plan for the next day. So it's a better time to get their attention to listen to it.
Got it. This is really good feedback. So you're saying between 7:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. Nigerian. And what about the days? Which day is more suitable?
Days.
Yeah.
Wednesdays, Monday is a very hectic day.
Yeah. For most working people.
Workers. Right. Friday is also a very hectic day.
Yeah, because they're wrapping up the week.
Yeah. Wednesday is a kind of a slack time in agriculture between one turn and the other one. So people are a little bit relaxed. They are a little bit flexible to what they can do.
So Wednesdays, midweek, pretty much.
Yeah,
Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m.
Maybe Saturdays, but if you are doing it in the Saturday, it should be between 4 and 6.
Yeah. We have so many 4 p.m., 6 p.m. We have a lot to talk about on this podcast. Like I've always been interested in sort of like marrying policies and business. Obviously, it's a business podcast, but without policies, good policies in place, you don't have a business sector, So I'm always interested in things like that, like just heavy, deep thinking, analytic type topics to talk about. But this is really good feedback. It's something that we will put in consideration for sure and move forward with. But what is the best way to reach you? Is it via email for people watching this looking for an agriculture consultant to help them guide the complexities of the agricultural landscape in Nigeria? Is the social media the best way to reach you, or WhatsApp? If so, just go ahead and give that information now.
WhatsApp. Once you drop me a DM on my WhatsApp.
Yeah. And what is your WhatsApp number?
070 311 79 180.
Okay, so Ari's WhatsApp number, I will repeat it, is 07, Nigeria, you can WhatsApp, you can just pick Nigeria. So it's Nigeria, 070 311 79 180.
Or if you connect with me on LinkedIn, just drop me a message. I will pick it up there. But I check my mail almost every hour. So if you drop me a mail, I will definitely return it. But if you want to get on me, a quick response is WhatsApp.
Got it. All right, sounds good, man. I will definitely be reaching out to you for sure to talk about business offline. And I can't wait we'll be in Nigeria this year. I can't wait to see you when I stay primarily in Akwa Ibom State anyway, in the village, my house in the village. Okay. So you and I will link up, man. I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to having you back on as a guest. Like I will always reach out to you on certain topics. And if it's something that you want to add to, you're more than welcome to join us. And I think the audience would love to have you.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get to share what I'm passionate about as agriculture. And I also know smart agriculture is the way forward. And it will not only solve immediate problems, but it will definitely make the world a better place, a world where everybody is healthy because we are what we eat.
Right. All right, Ari, thank you so much for your time, man. We will definitely be in touch and have a great weekend ahead.
Same to you. Thank you. Regards to the family and everybody.
Awesome. Thank you much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, babe, Molly is here.